John Di Pasquale. I gave you a new name.
Good morning, my name is...
You the one who needs the extension
Yes.
cord? Okay, they're getting you one.
Except they don't know how to open it. Put it in.
Good morning, my name is Jay Di Pasquale, and I'm running to serve you and your neighbors as Town of Amherst supervisor. I have never run for public office before, but I have served elected officials in the communities I have represented. My background is in operations management, financial management, and public service. I look at organizations from the perspective of interconnected systems with a keen understanding that the success of any organization is based upon the people who make up those organizations. We are at a crossroads in this town. We can continue down the road of ever-increasing taxes, closed and secretive government with decisions made behind closed doors, or we have an opportunity to return to fiscally conservative government based upon the values of openness and transparency, and one that encourages citizen participation in all of its decisions. Regardless of whether I serve communities here in Amherst, the Southern Tier, in Georgia, or Baghdad, Iraq, the concept of public service remains the same. It's all about just that, public service. There is no room for personal service when one holds public office. And public office is not to be used as a stepping stone just to hold higher public office. It is not about serving special interest groups in a community or friends and family. Public service and holding public office is about assuring the health, safety, and welfare of the entire community. As your supervisor, I will work all day, every day. I will work with each and every department and elected official to make sure that we are bringing the best, most efficient government to you, the citizens of Amherst. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Brian Culpa. I'm the current town supervisor in town of Amherst. But before that, I'm a father of three. I'm a proud husband. My kids have grown up here in Amherst and Williamsville. I'm a St. Vincent de Paul Society member, active participant over at St. Greg's. And after family and faith comes my service to the town of Amherst. I started off as an architect and planner. I have a background in that. I have a master's degree in each from the University of Buffalo. And I decided to get involved in public service in the village of Williamsville after I saw problems with zoning and 25% retail vacancies throughout the village. As the village of Williamsville trustee and mayor, I was able to rectify some of the problems that the village had, both in infrastructure and finance. As I was continuing my mayoral terms at the village and as an architect, having a burgeoning private sector career, I decided to put all those on hold. I put my career on hold so that I could take on some opportunities that I saw at the town. The town of Amherst had a legacy of big box retail and as using retail as a tax base. I knew that that had to change. I also recognized that 16 years ago, the town wrecked its finances. In 1 year, the town decided that they were going to use a 25% fiscal reserve to create a massive tax break. And that caused problems in our infrastructure and operations since. As supervisor, I've taken on the task of reforming our tax base and replenishing our reserves, and I will continue to do so.
Okay, we're ready for the first question. And remember, if you don't need 2 minutes, please don't take 2 minutes. All right. How does building a chemical soap factory in a residential area promote clean air, clean water, and a healthful environment for residents?
It doesn't.
And this is related to the Delta Sonic?
I will tell you that I just learned about this issue just a few minutes before this meeting started. Sorry? Okay. As I was mentioning, I just heard about this issue just minutes before this meeting started. We have a comprehensive plan in the town. We have a zoning ordinance. We have a land use plan that is supposed to guide development throughout the town. When I worked in the planning department quite a few years ago, I was part of the group of people that put together the town-wide land use plan. These types of mixed uses in close proximity to each other cause a lot of problems. How can we have a soap factory with a 6-foot fence separating this factory from the backyards of residential neighborhoods? Something like this should never be done. And under a deep squally administration, when these types of zoning issues come up, I can assure you that I will be voting no on something like this. It shouldn't be done to residents. That's about all I have to say about that right now.
So the project that I believe that this refers to is that Delta Sonic project that came before planning board and is coming to the town board for rezoning. The project site that was proposed is at the UB Annex properties, the 1950s buildings that are still remaining over off of Ridgely and Bailey. That's an area of town that, under my administration, we actually rezoned to a true mixed-use product. We rezoned it so that we could get businesses and residents, but not businesses in terms of business, like higher office and industrial use, businesses that complement the residents. So right now, it is a little bit of a paradox because the corporation that did not challenge the rezoning is now looking at us for a second rezoning. And it's going to cause some issues. The town board hasn't started to deal with it yet. And the reality of the scenario is we've got some burned out office space over there that's left over from the 50s, loaded with asbestos that we need to find a way to move on from. So what my administration always does is we always go back to the science of what it is we're doing. Is the product that is being created harmful? If so, is there off-gassing? If it's going to get into the community, obviously it's not something we want. If on the other hand, it's detergents and it's not something that's going to leach or be airborne, then that's something that we would also take into account. We're not going to throw something out until we've actually looked at what is being done and being proposed. And that's what my administration has done and will do.
Brian, you may stay there because you go first this time. A decision about marijuana sales must be made by December. Towns across the state have had public meetings. Amherst has not. Should Amherst have meetings on the topic and why?
So of course we're going to have meetings, but whether we have meetings over the wholesale ethical question about why or why not we should allow marijuana sales within the town, I find to be inappropriate. The state basically put into place a decision to allow marijuana consumption and sale, and then decided to, well, put it on each community to decide if you want to have the sales there. But with the town of Tonawanda and the town of Clarence, the city of Buffalo, the town of Cheektowaga, all that are border not opting out, we're assured that town residents will have ready supply and availability. With University of Buffalo and Damon College and ECC's North Campus all situated within the town of Amherst, I can guarantee we're going to have consumption. If we decided to opt out, we would essentially be forfeiting the ability to tax the industry that's going to cause us problems in the need for additional law enforcement and the need for additional town programs. With opioids, we did not have the ability to tax the industry. As a result, my administration entered into a lawsuit with the opioid industry, of which we're successful. We have to take this on head on. We need to start investing in police, in road patrols. We need to start investing in programming. And for me to watch dispensaries open on the other side of the boulevard or transit and forfeit that tax would be inexcusable. However, we need to zone for it correctly and treat it as an adult use and put it in places where adult uses are restricted to. Thank you.
We're talking about tax revenue. We're talking about adult use. We're talking about places in the town for dispensaries and consumption sites. We're concerned about what's going on in the other communities around the town. Last town board meeting, the other town board candidate, Dan Ryan.
Please speak directly into the mic, John.
Can you hear me? Okay. At the last town board meeting, the other candidate running for town board on our ticket asked the question, when are we going to have a public hearing? And the answer was, well, we're not going to have a public hearing because we're not going to be making a decision. I'm glad to see that now we're going to be asking the citizens of the town of Amherst what their thoughts are on this. We need to have an open discussion about this issue. We need to have transparency. We need to hear from the community. When I first started in public service, my first job with the town of Amherst as an intern was to manage the Amherst Vision Summit series. Some of you here know about that. It was the foundation for the development of the bicentennial comprehensive plan and the justification for spending the money on putting together the comprehensive plan. We heard from all the citizens from around the town. We heard a lot of information that we never thought that we would ever hear from the citizens. This is exactly what needs to go on in this town on this subject. We have the opportunity by December 31st to opt out of this. We can always opt back in or opt in at a later date. I don't think we should be opting in without the public having a voice in this decision. Just like I don't believe that we should have a lot of decisions made behind the scenes and forced upon the residents of the town of Amherst. You all deserve to have a voice in your government, and you also deserve to be heard.
Thank you, John. And stay right there because you get the next question, and this will have to be the last question. Some people see the Westwood project as a bailout for developers. What is your view?
Oh yeah, that's exactly what it is. We had a group of developers form an investment, a venture capital investment firm, and they bought a golf course. I applaud that. They made a decision to invest their money in buying a golf course. That's fine. It should not be on the arm of the taxpayers in the town of Amherst to help bail out this investment firm from what I consider a bad financial decision. We have already started destroying our public recreation facilities over at Audubon by selling off land to UBMD Wait a minute, we used to have 4 softball fields, 2 football fields, and an NCAA regulation baseball diamond. That has now been destroyed. And what we're going to have in place, instead of looking at green, open recreation space, we're going to have a UBMD building and a parking lot. You mean to tell me that that was the only place in the town for UBMD to build a building? What about the area over that's called Station 12? There's a lot of land over there, all the utilities. UBMD could have built their facility there. We should not have been selling public land. And what's going to go on with this Westwood deal? We're going to be swapping the land that was donated to the town in 1962 for a centralized recreation facility. We're going to be swapping that land for Westwood that's considered a brownfield, that has asbestos in the building there. We're going to destroy what we have built up for years and taxpayers have invested. Amherst Girls Softball League, who has pumped hundreds of thousands of dollars into those facilities over the years, we're just going to toss that away because an investment company bought a golf course. It is not our decision.
Thank you,
It was not
John.
our decision.
So, I'm going to start off. My daughter plays in that Amherst Girls Softball League. My kids participate in those youth sports. What's happened here is 2 things. We had a golf course purchased, and the town fought with that ownership group over what should happen with that land. Development rights or no development rights. The town rezoned the land to a different type of CF zoning. There was infighting and stagnation. What we know is that we have an old golf course that is currently a brownfield with a fence around it. And what we know is we have the University of Buffalo's North Campus with its athletic program sitting there. UBMD said, here's an opportunity. We would like to build a facility. We have a concussion clinic. We serve the UB athletics community. We are looking for space near the athletic complex. We said, well, we have these town facilities, this softball facility and this antiquated Division II baseball facility and these football fields that don't have adequate parking and are not drained correctly and irrigated correctly, sitting on really bad clay. And boy, we would like to rebuild them. And so we are. We're building new, better, and more facilities because of the transaction with UBMD. And by the way, we're netting 150 new medical jobs and a new state-of-the-art complex that links UB's athletic program to world-renowned orthopedic specialties. And Westwood is going to become a park, which is what the neighborhoods asked for consistently. An open park adding to our green space without transaction of any more land.
Okay.
Audubon remains.
Brian, you may stay right there because you get to go first for your closing statement.
So, it's an interesting position, right? When you first run for office, you say, okay, what can we do? How can we approach this town? Huge financial issues. We've got massive land use issues. We've got problems in our base economy. And then you get hit by COVID. 40 years later, what we have is a Boulevard Mall that's poised for redevelopment. We're set and ready to see a base economy reignite. We've held developers like WS Development and John Castamatidis from Quickfill accountable for their actions in this town, while moving forward with one of the most ambitious green space plans this town has ever had, to create a green heart at the center of the town of Amherst, the size of a country club, with room for arts and culture, meanwhile protecting our farms with an ag plan taking on a change in our economic outlook by supporting healthcare and regional healthcare growth within our town. I'm very proud to have served this community. I'm asking for your support this November. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to serve. I look forward to supporting you and working with you over the next 4 years.
I would first like to thank the League of Women Voters and the Amherst Center for Senior Services for holding this event today. I would also like to thank all those...
Please speak directly into the mic, John.
I would also like to... Yes, Mom. I would also like to thank all of those who participated in this event, either in person or on the internet. As I mentioned in my open remarks, we in Amherst are at a crossroads. In this time of uncertainty in our country, with the waning plague, the scourge of inflation and rising prices, and social upheaval, it is vitally important that our local government, returns to its core functions of providing superior and high-quality services for its residents. As I have knocked on doors throughout this town, I've had the opportunity to speak to residents on their front porch, in their driveways, with some inviting me into their homes for a chat. I can confidently report to you that regardless of party affiliation, the residents are fed up with the single-party rule of this town board. They are fed up with their taxes being raised by more than 20% over the last 4 years. Oh, and I must note, not this year, because this is an election year. The residents are fed up with the conditions of their streets, non-responsive government, the destruction of recreation facilities, the selling off of our public land to developers, and many other issues. So starting tomorrow, we have a decision to make. We can choose to go with a local government that has grandiose plans that will cost taxpayers tens of millions of dollars for decades to come, or choose a local government with a focus on its residents, on their needs, and on their vision for the future of their community. It is my promise to you, the residents of Amherst, that this is the type of government I will bring back to Amherst. I ask for your support to become your next town supervisor. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you both. And with the town council, candidates would please come forward.